July is Paris Gibson Month in Great Falls. It's a time honoring the founder of Great Falls, Paris Gibson. And each year, an award is given out honoring his legacy and vision. We're talking with this year's winner coming up on this episode of We're No Damn Experts.
Best in podcast, the best in town. You want to get up, get ready to get down. With its big wide sky and the wild river Thames, if you want to go, we can take you there to Great Falls, Montana.
Welcome to the greatest damn town in Montana, Great Falls. I'm Rebecca Ingham.
I'm Shannon Newth,
and we're No Damn Experts. Shannon, before we get started, I want to let you know, we were talking about a typewriter that I was bidding on at an auction.
Yeah.
And I couldn't remember it, but I knew it ended with wood.
Okay.
It's the Underwood typewriter.
Underwood. Okay.
That's what I could have owned.
Typewriter. Do you remember which episode that was in? Because it may or may not have aired before this one.
I have no idea.
Okay.
But it will make sense to you if...
when you hear it.
Yes.
Okay.
So now I've got that off my chest.
Good. I'm glad you remembered.
What's going on today?
Yes, I'm excited because we have a woman in here who's a true champion of our community, who's been involved in our community, and I'm just excited to talk with her about all things Great Falls, and we'll explain why in a moment. But first, Kathy Van Tighem, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes. So excited to have you here, Kathy.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure. Thanks for the invitation, and I can't wait to be part of this.
Yes.
So I have to tell you, Shannon's our producer, and she gets everything coordinated, handled. And when I saw the invite come on, I was like, we've never done an award winner before. And I'm like, so
wow,
tell me what the strategy is. And so she explained, because I'm super not smart at sometimes, but every now and again I'm like, Shannon, open up your brain a little bit and share with me.
Yeah.
So I'm smarter about it. But I want to just kind of preface this entire episode with Kathy is a Paris Gibson Award winner. And this is really an esteemed award within our community. Mm-hmm. And the list of people who have won this award is like the who's who of Great Falls.
Yes.
So kudos.
Yeah,
and,
thank you.
I would bow, but you didn't wear a crown.
Yeah, they should give you a sash and crown for that.
Yes, they should. And you walk around with it for a year, just like Miss Electric City or Mrs. Montana.
Uh-huh.
That's what I think.
Been on our podcast.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Should we make that happen for you?
I think the 4th of July parade was about as much publicity as I'm comfortable with. So along with this, we'll leave the crown and the sash for someone else.
Man.
But the visual image is really a lot of fun, definitely.
Yeah. So she is the 14th Paris Gibson Award winner, among them who I think you've had on the podcast, like Norma Ashby before. She's a prior winner.
Yeah.
People who are just obviously very highly involved in our community. Bud Nichols, who we mentioned before.
Numerous times.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And certainly a dude we need to have on this podcast based on what Dusty Molyneux said.
Yes. Okay. Arlene Reichelt, who the
Bridge
lady who we've posted photos and things on social media of her. Sheila Rice, who's been really involved with Big River Ruckus, among 5,000 other things. Just a very long list of people. Doug Wicks, who is involved in the Rivers Edge Trail.
And you've heard his name dropped.
Yes,
I mean,
these are all people
names that we've been dropping for 2 years now plus.
Right. So you joined that list. And real quick, I want to go back and say, you're like, what's a Paris Gibson? What's that? So
he's the dude that founded Great Falls.
So he is the founder of Great Falls. So if you've listened to this podcast before, you've likely heard his name. But in case you hadn't, Paris Gibson, founder of Great Falls, who brilliantly planned out the nice layout that makes it easy to get around our community.
Our grid system for streets and avenues.
Yes, which allows us to be able to grow in a more efficient manner than other communities.
Entry line boulevards.
The boulevard system, all of those things. Yes. So Kathy, Paris Gibson Award winner, what did you know much about Paris Gibson before you were awarded the Paris Gibson Award?
Actually, I did because I am a lifelong resident of Great Falls and was just real fortunate that life circumstances fell into place when I graduated from college. I was offered a position teaching English at Great Falls High, and that was amazing because I wanted to live in Great Falls. I just had such a great experience growing up here and wanted to be a professional here and live my life here. So I did know about Paris Gibson. I live in the neighborhood where the Paris Gibson Museum of Fine Art is and teach in a district where we have Paris Gibson Education Center. Yeah. And of course, growing up in elementary school, we all got to know the history of Paris Gibson and what a visionary he was. Yeah. And living on the lower north side, I appreciate that grid layout that we have to easily navigate. And I do love my tree boulevards, tree line boulevards.
It really is a beautiful area.
It is, yes. Yeah, the historic homes are fantastic. And I was, again, fortunate enough to grow up in that neighborhood just a block from the C.M. Russell Museum. Oh. And so when I was looking to purchase my first home, I wanted to stay in that neighborhood and just feel real fortunate that I'm a steward of a beautiful craftsman home that was built in 1911 and love walking and running in the neighborhood. It just, it is just classic Americana.
Yeah. So, Kathy, not to get too creepy, but is your
get
home
creepy as much as you want?
Is your home on the North Side Residential Historic Walking Tour?
It is not on the walking tour,
we
but
can add it for people who listen to this podcast.
Yes, yeah.
We'll just handwrite it in so that when you guys are here, you can just stop by Kathy's house.
Perfect. You can put the little crown and sash next to it so that they'll easily be able to identify
into the windows.
That's what you get for being an award winner, I guess.
Something like that. It's great.
So, have you done the historic, have you walked around those other homes?
Yes.
Yeah. That's something I've walked around. I have not gotten one of our guides, which I just gave to someone this morning who came in. I need to do that though, and just go with the guide. I've walked around, I read the sign. I used to live downtown, so I've been in that area, but I need to just get the physical guide and just go walk and see that.
From home to home. It's so fantastic. And one thing that I love so much about our neighborhood, and I think it rings true about our community, whether you're choosing to live here and you're a resident or you're coming to visit, is people are just open. We're proud of our community, proud of our neighborhood. I'm fortunate enough that I know a number of people who are homeowners on that tour. So not only have I had the pleasure of walking by and looking at the beautiful homes.
You walk up, knock on the door,
go, hey, just go inside.
I was looking for a cup of coffee and a private tour of your entire home.
Something like that.
Can I get that? No problem.
Yeah.
Does your home, so I know if I'm remembering correctly, a lot of those homes down there have had ballrooms basically built into them. Does your home have that?
No, my home is much more simplistic and much more humble and representative of a school teacher.
Sure.
But I have been to the homes that do have those ballrooms. One of my former neighbors that I shared a lot with has a beautiful home down on 4th Avenue North and 6th Street, and it has that upstairs, and it's just the grandeur that's there. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Are we talking actual ballrooms you would hold dances in
Definitely.
Them? Yeah. Yeah. See, you need to do this tour again and read the
time's gone by. I think before television and all of those things, I watched a fabulous documentary about Black Eagle, which of course is our sister neighbor. Yeah. And they were talking about the times gone by when there would be music and musicians that were nationally known who would come to the 3D and perform. And they talked a lot about how most of the community building and entertainment took place in homes or in local restaurants. And then when, of course, television came, people started to stay in their own homes with their own family. But, in the early days of Great Falls, I think there was a lot of entertaining that happened. And a number of those beautiful homes did have ballrooms either in the basement or upstairs on the 3rd floor in the attic. And it's kind of fun to think about what that lifestyle would have been like.
Yeah, your home is the entertainment capital as well as your living room and bedroom. Yeah.
Yeah. But mine does not have a ballroom. It does have a fabulous garden, which I'm very proud of.
Nice.
My mom and my grandma were both amazing gardeners. So when I moved to my home, I wanted to replicate that. And I do have a lot of people who do stop by. I have, with the trees you had mentioned on the boulevard, there are also trees that extend in the backyard. So there's lots of shade. And I love the vegetables as much as the flowers. So if you walk by my house, I have pumpkins growing in the front and tomatoes.
Fun.
And so that always stops people who are passing by on their way to the C.M. Russell Museum or whatnot, and they're always curious. And I love the opportunity to share that with people.
Well, and
so yes, you can come and peek in my window. I'll wave back and would probably even invite you in if you stop by.
Tour.
Look at that.
Award winner. Yeah. Well, and the park, which is named after the award you've been given, has a fabulous, and we've talked about this before recently in our episode about Gibson Park, has that fabulous garden in it as well.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, I run down there almost every other day, and I love to watch how the gardens change. And the duck pond is definitely one of my favorite aspects of Great Falls. My family, whether the whole family's in town and young nieces and nephews are here, or it's just my mom and dad and I. My dad just turned 80. We love to go down and, feed the ducks and the birds, and people watch. It's a fabulous place to gather. And you mentioned Bud Nichols, who, started that whole municipal band thing on Wednesday nights in the summertime. You can't beat going down there, pack a picnic, and listen to some amazing music. I don't think many communities in Montana have that, but we're really fortunate that there's
I have to
a center.
probably go on record and say we're the last community in the state that has a municipal band.
Yeah. I mean,
I might be wrong, but I think we discussed that with Dusty, and he said I was probably right.
Yeah.
I could be making that up as
Dusty,
well.
a fabulous friend and colleague. We're so lucky to have him. And he was just mentioning when I received the award at the first municipal band concert, the 4th of July one, about how he just appreciates Great Falls has such a focus on culture with all of the museums and the symphony and the municipal band, and that we just do such a great job of supporting music in our schools and whatnot. We are kind of a little cultural hub here in central Montana.
Kathy's wrapping up everything we've talked about over the last 2 months. She's bringing to summation all of these
You would
things.
think she's listened to every episode of our podcast
I'm
and
just
just
pull out all the nuggets.
I'm going to wrap it all up for you in a nice little bow.
Something like that plus 50 years of residency.
That'll do it.
I could talk forever about Great Falls. I love it.
So you said lifelong resident. I'm going to just dig into your past. We've got this great building downtown where Fifth and Wine is that has the Van Tighem steel. Is that your building?
Well, it was my family's building. My grandpa, on obviously my dad's side, Van Tighem, he owned the sheet metal shop there for a number of years. And so we do have a fabulous family history there of being a small business owner. And it's a fabulous thing to go in there and see that they've preserved so much of the building history. Mark, I was very excited having known Mark when they purchased the building from my family a number of years ago, and they've just been such great stewards, not to mention fabulous food and wine. And
do you just walk in and be like, I own this place?
This is my building.
It definitely feels like home, because for a number of years, I did spend time down there. After my grandpa's business had closed, he and my dad and my uncles would do work down there in the shop, and it was always a fun place to explore. My grandparents were great collectors of many things. They didn't let go of much. So when I was moving into adulthood and whatnot and was looking for fun furniture pieces and different pieces of things, they always had something that came in useful to all of us. But I just love that they've kept the original sign on the side of the building, and then in their new patio. Have you guys been to the patio?
Yes, I have.
I have walked by this.
You've walked by and you've seen the
no.
No, you've not even seen.
No, because every time I've gone to go to the patio, it has been raining, downpour. We're gonna go do the patio at Fifth and Wine, and then no,
they have umbrellas now. So when I was down there last week for
Okay.
lunch, an amazing lunch. The food is always fantastic. Went out there and they have these big umbrellas, but it's just a nice little nugget of
beautiful
history.
patio.
Yeah.
So those of
good
you
catch on that. Recognizing the name and tying it to the building.
So folks, if your ghost sign followers or
We've got some amazing
splunkers. Yep. I don't know what they're called.
I thought that was just for caves.
Maybe there's ghost signs spelunking. It's on the Fifth and Wine building, and you can see it. Van Tighem steel, I think is what it says.
Sheet
It's
metal
a beautiful,
works. Yep,
it's a beautiful sign.
Is that on the side by Bighorn?
Yes,
Up on the
Yep,
I can picture where it is. I just didn't catch that was the name.
Yeah.
Good job. Yeah.
And then they just put up, which I thought was awesome because again, it just captures the history and the spirit of Great Falls. My grandfather purchased that building from Tony Ginn, who my grandpa had actually done some apprenticeship work with Tony, and then purchased the building when he opened up his own shop. And so Mark has a sign out in the patio now that honors the three owners of that building, finally with Fifth and Wine. So I just love that there's history and they've preserved things. There's a spot on the wall where my dad and grandpa were down there, and they actually like traced the shadows of where the sun was one day and put the date and the time when the shadow was there. And that's something that you can see if you look up above the bar. And so they've just done a great job of preserving all of that, as well as making it their own. You know, they've made some fabulous improvements to that building, and it's such a great addition to Great Falls. So downtown Great Falls, if you're down there, you need to stop in and visit Fifth and Wine.
Yes.
And if nothing else, just go look at the shadow markings.
Right. Now I
definitely.
I need to go back in and try to find that.
And that's why people listen to this podcast.
Exactly.
They
we
want
give you
those small little nuggets. Just like when we talked about the thing on the ceiling at Mighty Mo. Yeah. You'll have to go back in our podcast archive to find that episode. But
maybe we should, if somebody who listens to the podcast goes in and like spots it and comes and tells us, we can find a prize for them of some kind.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll have prizes.
You can win a tour of Kathy's house.
There you go.
Perfect. So there's a lot of people, which I don't agree with this, but I also didn't grow up in Great Falls. There's so many people, and I think this is true. I mean, I went to high school in Havre, people try to get away from where they grew up. But you said you wanted to be in Great Falls. You wanted to come back here. Why was that?
Well, I just think that I had such a great experience growing up here. Our community is just so welcoming, and they really wrap their arms around you. I had so much support going from elementary school. Mary Pat Smith is one of my favorite people. She was my third grade teacher. And her husband, Jerry Smith, went on to become one of my favorite and most beloved camp volunteers before he passed a few years ago. Good neighbors, living in a neighborhood where everyone and people are checking in on you, but also give you your space and your privacy. And just there was so much encouragement and hope and just goodness in this town. And then I was fortunate too that I grew up with a lot of family in this town. My dad's family came. He had two uncles that lived here in town, so there were lots of extended cousins. My grandma on my dad's side had 5 sisters, and 4 of them lived here in Great Falls. So there were always the aunts and the uncles and the great aunts and great uncles. And then my mom's family, they were Italian immigrants that settled here in Great Falls. My grandpa worked at the smelter for years. And even though they didn't have that extended family, they had that extended built-in family of Italians who had settled in on 8th Avenue North. And so I love the sense of family and the sense of community, and that we have so many people who are trying to do good things to help other people and to improve our community. So it was just kind of a no-brainer. I wanted to be back with family and friends.
So I'm going to circle back. You said camp volunteers?
Yes.
What are you talking about?
So I have been fortunate enough to be part of a fabulous camp called Camp Francis, which is part of Peace Hospice and Benefits Health System. And in addition, Camp Francis gets a lot of notoriety, but along with it, its sister's camp, Darcy's Hope, is our teen retreat for kids. And it came from a vision of, again, another lady, Carol Holoboff, who is fabulous. She lived in Great Falls, grew up on the Lower South Side. She wrote a book called The Bastard Tree, which you can get online and I believe at Barnes & Noble. And she just told about this really colorful history of growing up and living on the south side of Great Falls. So she was a lifelong resident as well, and she saw a need in our community after the loss of her son Francis, who died when he was in his early 20s from cancer. And as she was watching her other children children go on their journey of grief, she thought there's got to be a better way of doing this. So as she was working on her master's degree in nursing, she focused a lot of her attention on children's bereavement and developed a program which was called My Moms at the time. It started in Diane Evans, who's a nurse practitioner at Benefice, her basement, and they
as all good things
do. And they had a support group for kids who had lost significant people in their lives. And from that vision, Carol thought we needed to have a camp in the mountains. So she partnered with Rotary, which again is just another fabulous community sponsor of so many things. And she designed a camp that we have been carrying on. We've celebrated our 30th camp this year.
Oh my goodness.
Which I thought was kind of serendipitous in getting recognized for contributing and serving the community, having been the leader of camp for close to 18 years. I think it's 18 years, maybe going on 19.
Who's
but
kidding?
just, a place for kids to come and feel safe and to be able to explore their grief. So it's fabulous.
Yeah.
It's a great experience.
Wow.
I got to spend some time
Yes, you
with
did.
Kathy. She had invited me to come and speak about losing my dad to cancer. And I got to go up, I think it was about 4 years ago now.
Yep.
Got to go up and share my story and spend some time with them. And just to have that's just such a huge contribution, and you're filling such a need that maybe many people don't even realize is a need until you're in that situation or can relate to that situation.
Thank you.
And it was just fabulous, and you're doing a wonderful thing for that, and for the kids to have a safe space for that is to explore all those emotions or lack thereof, maybe in some cases. It's really neat, that work you're doing. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Well, thanks. And that work certainly isn't something that is done alone. I've been fortunate enough to be the leader and the director of camp, but I have an army of 60 plus people that are up at camp with me the entire week, meeting the needs of the kids. From gophers who empty the garbage and unplug the toilets if they get plugged, to cooks and grief facilitators. And we've just been really fortunate. I think, again, that sense of community and wanting to help one another out, that we have had campers grow into teen volunteers and cabin leaders and stay on as grief facilitators. And we've had people who've been part of our community who've moved to other communities, but they still travel back. As far as Texas, that was the farthest volunteer who came this year to not only serve in the capacity, but also to revisit Great Falls and to visit all of the beauties that we have to offer in our surrounding area.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is up near Nyhart, up in the mountains up there. So just
Camp Rotary.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to book your vacation to go to the grief
no.
camp. But if you do, kudos. It's going to be amazing.
Right.
But it's also that Camp Rotary location.
Oh, yeah.
Great for retreats. They rent it out for weddings. It's right next to Belt Creek.
Yeah.
I want to just book it as a weekend VRBO.
Right.
That's my dream.
And just invite 50 of your favorite friends to go up and enjoy that.
And then find someone
area.
who's going to cook for us. That's always been my dream. Go on vacation and just have a chef. And
personal chef right there.
And I'm not going to set the menu. You just make me food. It won't matter because I don't have to cook.
Yeah. Whatever it takes, I will eat it. It's all good. Yeah, that's one thing that I think, in talking about choosing to make Great Falls my home, we are a stone's throw away from so many amazing day trips, heading up to Wolf Creek Canyon and, of course, going to Hughesville and the Nyhart Monarch area. And Great Falls is just a great landing spot to be able to explore so much that Central Montana has to offer. We're really fortunate.
Yeah, and
we have all those
is one of them.
dams going on and whatnot, so you can spend a day traveling and visiting them. And how about that amazing American flag? Have you guys talked about that?
Yes, we
have. You've covered that already?
Well, no.
We've talked briefly this morning about it, but
it's one of those things nobody, it's odd. We are the tourism authority for the city, but nobody just sends us a message hey, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
We just drive by and we're like, oh, that's really cool.
Come from?
And beautiful, and it's lit at night.
Yes.
It's fabulous.
Yeah, we'll be we'll be posting about that in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
And we haven't had a dam expert on the podcast in a while,
no,
so we could get one back on and they could talk about the erecting of a flag.
There you go. Yeah.
Next to a dam.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
In the best dam city in Montana.
Yes. So we talked about the camp. What are some other, I mean, there's a long list when I look at the release about you being the winner of this award. There's a long list of things, but what are some of the other things you're passionate about and how you serve our community?
Well, I mean, there's just so many. And one of the things about this award that really, kind of took my breath away is you had mentioned some of the past winners who are just people that I have admired and have been inspirations to me for so long.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, when I found out that I was getting this, are you sure you have the right person? Like, how did that happen? But just so many amazing people. And a lot of them I had met through my work with Peace Hospice and camp and whatnot. But there's just so many ways to serve. I serve on the board of the pre-release center here in Great Falls. Through the school district, there's just so many opportunities to be involved with different things that go above and beyond the curriculum work and, being involved with student activities, hosting this last year, we hosted the Montana Art Interscholastics. Courtney Harrent, one of our teachers at Great Falls High, was just a mover and shaker with that. And it was fun for me. I volunteered to go back and be part of that. Again, looking back, I had just amazing opportunities to do that when I was in high school with Gene Price and Jack Fisher, who were just great, contributors to our community as well too. So I just I love Great Falls. I think I live in the museum district. I don't know if that's like an official title, but it should be.
Sure, why not?
With Paris Gibson Square there, and they offer so many good opportunities for kids. And then of course the Russell auction. I mean, how can you just not be filled with pride when you look at that?
And that one's coming up. The Russell auction for this year is coming up this fall-ish.
August 17th through 19th, I believe.
I guess that's not really fall anymore. It's still summer.
It depends on the day.
It's a beautiful time of year, though, to be outside. And that has been fun, being a neighbor to the museum. I live just a block away still. Yeah. So mom and dad live a block to the south, and I live a block to the east, keeping it all in the neighborhood. But it's just fun to watch the hub and to see people from all across the country coming. And, it's like doing the license plate game to see how many different states you can see parked right outside the door.
So I've got we do, when we kick the podcast off, folks, I give this laundry list of things not to do, and I'm gonna set Kathy up for kind of a political question. It might turn weird. So are you ready, Kathy?
I am ready and somewhat anxious, but we'll see what you got.
So you've been near the C.M. Russell Museum all of your life.
Yes.
How happy were you to see the expansion of the museum complex grounds to include that amazing new green space? Or were you like, screw them, this is stupid?
Wow.
Okay, I love the expansion because it is such a beautiful space. Now, when I am driving up Fifth Avenue North and I'm in a hurry to get to my home on Fourth Avenue North, and I do have to go a block out of the way, there are times when it's like, dang it, I wish I could just cut right through here. But I think the benefits are so beautiful. I love walking over, especially this time of year in the evening. Again, if people, are out and about and you want to just have kind of a nice quiet spot to go where there's not a ton of people, that outdoor museum that they have with all of the different sculptures of the different animals is just amazing and beautiful. The landscaping is fabulous, and it's fun to watch that huge tent go up and just just see all of the fun things that are happening there and the caterers coming. It's just a nice buzz in a neighborhood that at times could be somewhat struggling. We have so many different additions going on and expanding our city outward that to see the heart of the city really still have a strong heartbeat is great. And I think it draws community members and families to it. It's such a nice neighborhood, and just being able to have that be the center of it, there's always something going on there. So I love it. It's beautiful.
I pros and cons. I mean, they tore down some older buildings to make that happen and abandoned a street, which did cause me some concern. My first time, I'm like, well, now I got to find a new route in. But I love...
It's just one block, though. It's just like one detour.
It's not far. Not far.
But I love the new entrance.
Beautiful.
I love everything they've done on the interior as well, which is more of a welcoming. Before there was like two weird entrances.
Like, where do I go?
And now it's just really defined. And I love And it was simple things,
Right.
really a simple thing. And I really love what they did. So,
well, and it just brings together the whole idea of it being a complete complex. You know, there's the museum, which is just, I'm so proud of it that this is in my backyard and that we have this amazing art that is not only historical, but they do a great job of bringing in, you know, some modern Western artists as well. But okay, who doesn't love going to like the original studio? I mean, I go back to
the home.
Oh, the home, top notch, one of my favorite things in the whole wide world.
And
it's
you get you get a better perspective in there too. Of just it explains more how involved Nancy Russell was and everything that
definitely
happened for Charlie.
Yeah.
So I like that part too.
Yeah, it's great.
And someone we should have on the podcast is from the Russell. We currently have the largest display of Russell's artwork.
Oh, sure.
In the world.
Yeah.
Asterisk. That might be incorrect.
We
Because
should.
the Montana Historical Society's collection is on display at the Russell right now. So
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
a
we're
really
getting all
unique
of
time
those.
to
Yeah, and it's such a
Go
fun
visit.
place when you mention the home. I often host Aunt Kathy Camp at my home in the summer, and my nieces and nephews who live here in Montana come, and then I have nieces and nephews who live in Great Falls too. So we do fun craft things and whatnot. But as the kids have grown older, they love to go to the museum, and even when they were younger, and we talk about that. At one point, there was a kind of a cute family story where I had taken the kids to the museum and we had spent some time in Charlie and Nancy's home. And later that evening, my nephew, who was probably 6 at the time or so, Paul, was talking about how we were related to Charlie Russell. And he had, went through and talked about the home and that Charlie had, had a heart attack on the stairs. But I loved how he just felt that sense of community and home, and to the point that he thought we were related. So, and I thought, we'll take that and just run
why
with
not?
it.
Yeah.
But for young kids, there's a lot of fun things to do at the museum as well, the home and the studio. But then they have that great room downstairs that I, of course, take the kids and I think I want to explain to them. And I have all these ideas of, if you have so much money, which picture would you purchase for your home and why?
Fun.
And they just want to go downstairs and, play in the teepee and with the dress up clothing and all of that fun stuff as well.
And
too.
is
the
there
fake food and
the floor that thunders like you're in the middle of a
stampede. Yeah, that bison thunder. Feel it not only at the stadium at night at Great Falls High where I work, but also right there in the museum. It's fabulous.
Yeah. Are you still an English teacher?
Well, I am still at Great Falls High. I'm not an English teacher now. I'm a counselor at Great Falls High.
Oh.
And I will be starting my 30th year.
Oh my goodness.
I cannot even believe that.
Wow.
Of teaching with Great Falls Public Schools, and am just so proud that I have been at Great Falls High the entire time.
Wow.
And it's such an amazing, beautiful building to be part of. Again, kind of that downtown hub area, and such a beautiful campus. I remember when I was growing up and attending school at Great Falls High, I had such pride. And now as an adult, just looking, comparing to a lot of junior college campuses and whatnot, it's a sight to see. It's great. So, we get a lot of people who come back, travel back for reunions in the summer, both to Great Falls High and CMR now that their history is a little bit longer as they continue to get older. But it's fun to see people come back and just have memories. We've done such a good job in our community of preserving those buildings and having them be part of our home.
So, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so my father-in-law, so apparently the barriers in front of Great Falls High, there used to be to block the road.
Yes.
Apparently my father-in-law was part of the reason those were put up because he would like hot rod his car down there and stuff.
Yes.
So
yeah.
John Laird, I don't know if you know that.
Well,
name,
my dad might. My dad, I think, was guilty of that as well as a Great Falls High grad. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
made
those
me
have been
think of it.
removed. I guess drag racing in front of the school isn't as big as it used to be.
Yeah.
So, at what age? You must have been fairly young, if my math is good and my memory is not. So both are against me. But The CMR high school was created not that long ago in reality. Yes. Were you in elementary school when that happened?
Actually
Still
opened
younger?
Before I was born. So I turned 50 this year. I'm proud to say that. It's kind of a mile marker year. Yeah. My aunt actually was, I think, one of the first classes that went through. And I want to say that it opened probably like 65, 66, 67.
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
I was thinking that.
Right.
I knew it was like somewhat recent, but somewhat old. And,
compared to, Great Falls High that opened in 1930 and just has such a strong history. Prior to that, it was in the Paris Gibson Museum, Art Museum building now. So we just have a little bit longer history, but CMR is just awesome. And it's great to take a look at how I think it's a true reflection of the time that it was built. Yeah. And again, just that history and that pride. And they've done such a good job of honoring Charlie and just making him part of all of that. We're so fortunate here in Great Falls to have such a good, strong public school system and so much pride in that.
Ed Vanetz tells me, Ed Vanetz is a resident of our community, and I worked with his wife here in the tourism as I transitioned into being the director. Ed told me that he was the leader within the class that selected the colors for the CM Russell High School. So that's why they're you have Ed to blame for the green colors and the yellow because he was a huge Packers fan, and that's funny. Where the colors came from.
That makes sense.
That history, now we know.
Yeah.
This could be true. It could be a tall tale, but I don't have any reason to believe Ed would lie to me. So I'm just going to go with that as fact.
Let's just give him credit for picking those colors.
There you go.
As they've changed and evolved over the years. That's right.
Yeah. So you've talked a lot about the CM Russell Museum, Paris Gibson Square. I'm curious, especially because of the line of work that we're in, what would you recommend for people to do to really experience Great Falls when they come to
your
visit?
Perfect itinerary.
Yeah, well,
your own Kathy camp.
Well, yes, your Aunt Kathy camp. Yes. I mean, you definitely have to check out Giant Springs. Yeah. That has just been, a place that there's been generations of going. My mom and her family would often picnic down there on the weekends, and we've continued that tradition. So Giant Springs is just something that's so unique and beautiful and peaceful, just serene.
Yes.
To be down there and go feed the fish, I mean, that is the best bargain in Great Falls. 25 cents.
If you probably hasn't increased in years.
I don't think it has, right? And you can give a kid a handful of fish food for 25 cents and they are going to be awestruck for hours. Yeah. It's just better than anything. So definitely Giant Springs. I'm a big fan of Paris Gibson Park. I just have so much pride in that band shell, in the duck pond. I think the walking, just the trail that goes around that is fabulous and beautiful. The Charlie Russell Museum is something that you just have to see because it's so unique and it's just beautiful to see his work evolve. And also to just really, I'm always like inspired by the history, that he reflected and that he was so progressive in just seeing how progress was going to have an impact on our community in the area in which we live and being mindful of the footprint that we're leaving. I think that he was just so way ahead of his time on that. Downtown is a must-see as well. I think I'm so excited that we have such fabulous restaurants and places to go downtown. We'd mentioned Fifth and Wine, but there's just, you can't go wrong with any of the restaurants downtown. No. And, I'm hearing there's so many new ones that are popping up and it's like there's just not enough days to go have lunch and dinner and to experience all of those things. But then, I love that we still have the 3D and Black Eagle and Boris. Those are just like, in my lifetime, whenever there was something great to celebrate, first day of school or, getting straight A's or something along those lines, went to Boris. My niece eloped recently and she and her husband and the family went out to celebrate at Boris because that just, again, it's just such
part
a great
of that
feel.
family history.
So that would take you a good couple days. You could hit all of those places in one day. But I just think Giant Springs is just such a great place to be in, the museum, and then just downtown and the history that we have. There's so much. And then, of course, coming up here, because you have the view of this amazing river that we have, is, the Sun River joins into it.
Yeah.
And it's fun to see kind of the development and the forward thinking with the development of different restaurants and businesses along the river. I think that we have so much to offer and to enjoy. It's going to be fun to see where we land in another 5 years.
I'm going to shift a little bit because this is, I'm the co-host, so I get to do that. We talked, you don't get a crown or a sash, which is a travesty. But did you get a plaque with your award?
Yes.
Did you?
Yeah.
What are the other benefits that you got to be an award winner?
Yeah, so many things. I was just blown away by all of it. I mean, of course, probably the best right now is the podcast. This has been such a fun experience.
Obviously.
And being able to hang out with you two fine ladies, and but how fun to talk about my community and just be able to reflect on so many things. So
this is why you win the award, because you're so passionate about your community.
I love it. Thank you. And what an honor to be able to serve this great place that I call home. So there's a tree that was planted in West Bank Park, which again is kind of another one of those hidden treasures. You know, Paris Gibson, getting back to him, he had such forethought, not just the really carefully planned community that's easy to navigate, but the parks that we have are so fabulous. West Bank Park, there's a tree there with a plaque in my honor, along with all of the other
Are you going to go put fertilizer on it to make sure it
I think so. My dad,
flourishes.
I think, and mom have plans to make sure that the grass stays off of the plaque and all of that. They're pretty good about that. So I'm lucky that I've got lots of support there with them. And then I got to ride in the 4th of July parade in a 1918 Model T. My dad joined me on that trip.
Fun.
And that was a lot of fun.
Did you practice your, do you have your wave down?
I did a variety of different waves and whatnot. I had some colleagues on the side of the road who were, instructing me on how to do the princess wave, but it was fun. And then there was a plaque that was presented. Susie McIntyre, who was our head librarian, presented that. And that was one of those moments that this all happened quickly. Jeremy Smith, who's a dear colleague and friend, had let me know that he had nominated me for this. And I was like, thank you so much. That's great. But you've seen the people who've won this before. And, but I appreciate that you put me in that category. So when I found out about it, it was literally the night before I was leaving to go to camp. And that's just such an emotional ride. And then I got home, and 2 days later was the tree planting and the concert, and just navigating all of this. And it was truly a very humbling moment when Susie said, the city of Great Falls, get a little emotional. Like, my hometown, my community is presenting this to you on behalf of the contributions that you've made to the city. And I was just a very humbling moment. And so that when that was read and the plaque was given to me, it was just, I was filled with, just pride in our community, and but very humbled, because again, we have so many good people who do good things that I could list. I mean, we could spend a whole podcast on people that we think, would be deserving of this. And then P. Gibson's. There's a dinner for two at P. Gibson's, which was a lot of fun. And I'm sure I'm forgetting some other things, but they just did such a good job of making me feel special. And it was just all these different aspects of the community came together. Tilleris donated the tree, and
you got to make a donation in your name,
did,
right? That's part of it?
Yep. Okay. The Filipowitz family, who again are just such great supporters of our community, gave $500, and I chose to give that to Children's Bereavement through Peace Hospice, which is kind of the top of the umbrella that oversees Camp Francis and Darcy's Hope, which is that teen retreat. Yeah. And then the Christmas party, and we do groups in the schools, and they still have that group that Carol and Diane started meets at hospice every other week throughout the school year, and they've added a component for parents as well.
Oh, nice.
So that there's the support for the parents or the grandparents or whoever's helping to raise the kids in the absence of a significant person for them. So it was just fabulous to be able to give back to them, and as a way of saying thank you for letting me be part of this amazing aspect of our community.
Would it have even been better, and people who've listened to this podcast know my great affinity for this next comment. Okay. Would it not have been better to receive a plaid jacket and they put it on you? and it'd be like a crest.
Definitely.
Oh.
I would have loved a plaid jacket
See?
with the city of Great Falls.
You should just make one and start the tradition.
I can, and then maybe that could be a continuing
So
contribution.
there you go.
I could hand that off to the next. But you're
There's
right. That would be
a
nice.
thread through
Yes.
all of my efforts within this community.
For plaid
but
jackets.
by the time I am completed my professional life, I will have instituted a plaid jacket program within this
Yes.
city that is delivered to champions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't just get it for being a champion a little bit. Like, you got to be a big, decent champion.
We need to start that. That's great. Paul Culbertson, who's one of the associate principals that I've worked with for years at Great Falls High, last year or a few years back had this vision. He called it the Blue Collar Award. And because, of course, our roots here in Great Falls just run so deep in blue collar. And so there were 4 or 5 people who were recognized and nominated for that, and then they got to pass that on and nominate the next person. And we have these fabulous, I should have worn mine today, a blue collar award with a patch with our name on it, and it says blue collar, so it's very fun. So those things actually do make an impact. I love the idea of a plaid jacket and think that we need to do that.
My original thought, which I really do
What
love.
color is plaid, though, before we go further?
I haven't really narrowed that down. I guess I would probably select our brand colors.
For us, blues and greens.
The blues, the greens, yellows, a little bit of browns in there.
Yeah.
My original idea stemmed years ago, and I wanted, like when you win the Super Bowl, you get a ring. And I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have like a big old sapphire Yogo sapphire ring?
I like the plaid jacket better.
The logistics of that was
it's a little bigger of an undertaking.
And really have to find a huge benefactor for that to happen.
Really need a big donor for that one. Yeah.
So then I was like, move to the Masters. And when you win the Masters, you get that hideous color. Like, it's
the green jacket.
Green.
Yeah.
And then I think there's the Hall of Fame jacket for NFL football is yellow.
Not many people look good in yellow.
No.
And but plaid has lots
big,
of opportunities.
Weird colors. So then I'm like, what could be more bold? Plaid.
City of Great Falls.
Plaid jacket.
Yeah.
So this is my dream, and I share my dreams often. And if you're a longtime listener of the podcast, you've heard of the plaid jacket desire in the past. This would be a perfect time for it.
Yes.
Definitely. I'm going to see if I can find a plaid jacket.
Okay.
And start the tradition.
You work on the plaid jacket.
Yes.
I'll work on the crown and sash for next year's winter.
Sounds good.
You need to still get her one too, like next year.
She said she didn't want it.
retroactively.
Yeah. Well, I'd wear it if you came over. You two will have to come over to my house.
Yes. Oh,
and we'll do a crowning ceremony.
And I will wear it just for you.
In
just
front of the
you felt
pumpkin
so
patch.
Yes,
definitely.
like it.
We're gonna have a weird. Stay tuned to YouTube.
I'm gonna hold you to both to that. I will have you over. Yes. That'll be fun.
I'm excited about this.
Yes. Anything else that your reign as Paris Gibson Award winner includes?
I think this is what kind of comes to the end. This is wrapping it all up. So there was the concert and the tree planting and the parade and this and I just need to.
And now you just retire from everything. You're done. Yeah.
But you've got an entire year of reign. So if you've decided that you want to establish a platform and start Paris, this is all done during Paris Gibson Month,
which
is
July.
Yes.
Yep. Yes.
And so if you see banners throughout our downtown when you're visiting us in July, they say Paris Gibson Month. And it's really just an honor of our community, our residents, and the dude who had the vision to move us, down the river from Moroni and establish a grid system town next to the
boulevards.
River. Yeah, he was awesome. When I was waiting to start the 4th of July parade, there were 3 gentlemen who were visiting from out of town. They were college roommates and had chosen Great Falls to come to get together for their annual gathering. And they came over and saw the sign and inquired about Paris Gibson and whatnot. So I think there are a lot of curious minds, or tourists and people who come here, come because there's so much to learn. And I think they just have a curiosity about our history and the area. So that was fun to be able to visit with them as well.
And it's a unique name too. It's not,
Definitely.
John Smith or whatever.
Yeah, Paris Gibson. It's just, it's a bold, it's a strong name, a visionary name.
And I would say Maybe I'm speaking out of school, but since school's not in session,
Here we have a teacher right here. Yeah.
I don't think we've done a good enough job in our community to have like an exhibit or a one dedicated space that talks about Paris Gibson and his history and his legacy to our community. And the only reason I bring that up is because I just recently went on vacation and experienced the Buffalo Bill Center for the Wild Wild West. I screwed that name up and I do apologize, but it doesn't matter because it's not in our town. But he had an entire section on him.
Cool.
And he was the founder of Cody, Wyoming. So it kind of all fit together. But it was, I think we need a little bit more in that area. So
yeah, it would be fantastic. Whether it, could be at West Bank Park where the trees are being planted for the recipients of the award, or down at his park would be fabulous, or right up here.
No, I'm going to throw it out.
Okay.
History Museum.
Yeah, that's what I was
just
thinking.
A dedicated exhibit gallery.
To Paris Gibson.
Yes.
Yeah. Highlighting the homes that he had lived in and, his vision and kind of where he came from and what he hoped for the community and how that's lived on.
And
that's
the
great.
real story of the back alley deal that ended us down the road from where the original town site was supposed to be up in Moroni. I want someone to give me that seedy story.
Yeah.
And it better be seedy. That's all I'm saying.
Because if it's happening in a back alley,
I'm hoping.
that's got to be part of it.
Wouldn't be a normal, smooth deal.
Yeah.
Wow.
When you listen to Butte's history, there's always these seedy back alley under
colorful.
the table.
Yeah.
Like, I just want one.
I'm sure it exists here. Pretty sure the mob was here. Yeah, I mean,
So that'll be my next mission.
Definitely. And I just think of, the history, you hear stories of, again, the Black Eagle and the 3D and all the different cultures that came together.
Yes.
And I think, if you read Carol Holboff's story,
The Bastard Tree.
Yes, you will. There was a very colorful, active side of downtown
I'm looking
Great
forward
Falls.
to this
You
book.
do.
I'm going to read it now.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it before.
No. We just had Millie on with Cassiopeia Books, and we gave her homework. And we don't usually do that to our podcast guests, but
nothing for
we
you.
gave her homework before she came on to kind of come and talk about some of the books from our area. And she had visited, she shared with us about winter wheat.
Yes. One of my favorites.
I figured you might have known about that, but we had never heard of it until she brought it up. So that was really kind of fun.
Yeah. There are so many amazing books that take place in this area and throughout Montana that it's fun to take a look at those and read them.
Kind of dig in, emotionally more connected to our community than ever.
Well, so much diversity when you think about it. You have that traditional kind of homesteader aspect that came, but then with the addition of the Anaconda, company and with all of the smeltering that happened, just the ethnic diversity that came. And like I said, that's what brought my grandfather here and his relatives and whatnot. But there were, the Italians and the Polish and the Irish. I mean, this is, and much like, I always reflect with Butte as such a fabulous community as well, too. But we've done such a good job of collecting that and just honoring it. And, and preserving Black Eagle is such a great little community to visit as well, too. The center up there, the community center, along with the golf course and all of those things that we have so much history here that it's just fun to come and explore and find that out. And now I'm curious, too, about that CD deal.
Yeah.
I'm hoping
there's got to be something there.
Yeah.
We had lunch with friends of ours on Saturday, and we were talking about the Voyagers and kind of the stadium and players and previous names of the team.
Yeah.
And I could only go back one, which was Great Falls White Sox. And our friends were like, didn't they used to be the Electrics and the Dodgers? And I'm like,
and the Giants. Yeah.
And I'm looking at them. I'm like, all are drunk. And they're like, no, this is true. And then, they talked, Billings had one and Helena had one. We were talking kind of about the longer history of that. And then my friend's like, that's why Charlie Pride showed up here. And I'm like,
yeah,
I do know that.
Yeah.
And his wife says, Charlie Pride was here for a long time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So-
It's fabulous. I spent many a summers working out at the ballpark. I love baseball. And that is, again, such a fun part of our community to go and visit. And way back when I was a new teacher and worked one summer back there, and we actually hosted a concert, which we had this vision of a concert happening. And the first one, we didn't have the attendance that we hoped, but how fabulous was the concert that was there just last
Dustin
week.
Lynch.
Dustin Lynch. Yeah.
Windows open. I could hear it all night long. It was fabulous. But our ballpark does have quite a history. And boy, I was lucky to get to know a number of the people who brought that here, and that original group that had a vision of wanting professional baseball to be here. And in my home, when you come and visit, you will see that I have some pendants from the Great Falls Giants and the Great Falls Dodgers. So
You
I've
can
been
get your full history then.
There we
Yeah.
go.
a baseball fan for a number of years. And again, we have people in our community who are doing a great job of preserving that. There's a little historical museum at the ballpark that you can go and just see lots of fun things and learn about the history of that here.
So I have a question then, because they're called the Voyagers now. We have
Yes.
Orbit, the mascot.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the whole alien sighting that spawned this
Well,
name?
I mean, it definitely happened.
Okay,
We definitely know that took place here. And I'd heard about it beforehand, and I loved that they took that twist on it, because I think
Really great.
people were thinking more of like explorers,
Yeah.
Voyagers with Lewis and Clark, which is a
Right,
theme
sure.
that we have in Great Falls so readily. And so it was just fun. And Orbit is the best mascot. I mean, really, when you look at minor league baseball, that's such a big
It's a fun-
part
yeah.
of promoting the team. And
Yeah.
it goes, baseball itself is fabulous. If you're a baseball fan like I am, I could sit and watch it all day long. But really with minor league baseball and the smaller professional leagues that we have throughout the country, you have to work to keep the community and the fans entertained. And people who are coming and visiting Great Falls, catching a game. I have so much pride in the stadium. I was working out there when they were just starting to plan and really vision for the next stage of that. And it's fun to go and see all of those different ideas that people had thrown out together as a community come together. But I mean, who can beat a night out at the Voyagers?
yeah.
It's
great.
really
and
great.
you've got to get your picture with Orbit. Like, I'm going to get my picture with you guys.
We're
Definitely.
Well,
when we
same
get
thing.
done
Yeah.
here, we're going to do
Of course.
that. Yeah.
It makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
The damn experts in Orbit.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
if you get
All
those
in one
two.
photo.
Do we have a scavenger hunt in Great Falls that like people can come and get here in the community, where they can go and meet notable people or eat famous Great Falls cuisine or see places?
the buffalo.
Yeah.
We really have not kind of that list.
Okay.
And I might pick your brain offline about the notable food, because that was one of the things that stumped me. We had a committee put together when the Tribune was still really, really active for the greatest of Great Falls. And Jim, I say that now, but that might not be his name.
Strauss.
Yeah, okay, I was right. It felt right, but then I was like, after I said it, might not have been right. We brought in people from the Malmstrom Air Force Base and those type of people who weren't necessarily connected to kind of help us flush out the categories of that. And they're like, well, what is Great Falls' food? What is the food Great Falls is known for? Because like Butte has the pasty,
Right.
and
The pork chop.
other communities have these things they're known for. And I'm
The
just
beer
like,
baron.
yeah,
The beer baron's got to be on the list. You know,
It's
that is something
definitely-
you can purchase in grocery stores, but
you can't get it
No.
like it's not on
Yeah.
a menu. It used
Yeah.
to be, but
I was going to say, I
Smoked
don't know that one.
should have something there,
Oh.
like as a tribute, because you know that's
Yeah.
where the
That is
original beer baron
manufactured.
started.
That's a good
was.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that would definitely be on the list. And of course, I'm a Boris girl, so
Yeah.
Boris pizza, which some
Yeah.
people love it. Some people if you really want to get into an interesting conversation with people who have moved to Great Falls and are not people who are natives who were born here, bring up Boris and just listen to to their feedback.
I say
Yes.
Boris, Howard's,
Howard's.
and Taco Treat.
Yeah.
Those are the three where you're like.
And then back in the day, the Burger Master, you know, and there are some places here in town who are trying to replicate some of the onion rings and the flying pizza burgers.
The
and
ramp burger.
The ramp burger. Yeah, it's all good. But we have some people, I tell you, who are doing some great things now that in this conversation 20 years from now, we're going to be talking about some of those amazing burgers and just the steaks and fabulous things here in Great Falls.
Well, I've had a blast.
I have too. This has been so much fun.
And I am so glad we were your first podcast ever.
I love it. Well, and when I walked up and I saw that #1 podcast in the state of Montana, I was a little nervous, but you guys did such a great job. And then when you decided to crown me and put a sash on me and my homework.
Jacket.
You said no homework, but the homework is going to be the plaid jacket. And we're going to come up.
That's your effort now. I'm real excited because, you know, I have aspirations in my life, and it includes someone crowning me with I've already gotten a crown, so you know I don't need it on any other greater level. I have been crowned,
but the plaid jacket,
you need your plaid jacket.
I need a plaid jacket. And I need, you know, then the next step, statue. So you'll appreciate this. We've had Norma Ashby Smith on the podcast, and I've asked her a number of times, like, where do you want the statue of you placed in our community? And she just smiles and laughs and moves on to the next subject. And I'm like,
no, Norma,
woman, I am going to get it out of you at some point.
Yeah.
Where do you want your statue erected in this community?
Mm-hmm. She does need one. That's very
she
true.
does. She's fabulous, and she was so instrumental in this award. She,
of course, she was.
Yes.
She was instrumental in everything.
She still serves on this Paris Gibson Month committee.
Yeah.
And
Yep. She does.
She yells at me when I don't attend the meetings and that I'm not more involved, which I love. And I say yell.
It's not. Yeah.
When Norma yells at you, it's just
it feels good. It's a compliment.
Like you're okay. I'm important enough where I should be included. And then there's that small percentage of her tone that's like, I'm very disappointed in you for not being a part of this, and then you're like, oh, I'm a crappy human being right now
because you don't
Norma
not
Ashby
do
Smith
what
is.
Norma asks you.
So I welcome you to come back when you've got the plaid jacket ready to give me.
Definitely. If that's what it's going to take to be able to hang out with you ladies for an hour, I will be there. Definitely.
And until we see your bright, smiling, happy, healthy face here in our fine community of Great Falls, Montana, we hope you're creating amazing memories with your friends and family wherever you might be. We will see you soon.
We're No Damn Experts is the recorded claims from Great Falls, Montana, covering what you need to know about this amazing damn town. Damn, that felt good.